The lights of Hollywood. They promise endless glamour, boundless success. But behind the dazzling marquees and the carefully curated smiles, there often lurk shadows. Shadows of pressure, of expectation, of battles fought in silence, far from the camera's gaze. For those of us who grew up with them, who invited them into our living rooms every week, these aren't just celebrity stories. They feel like chapters from our own lives, etched into the fabric of our memories. Today we peel back the layers of some truly heartbreaking tales. Stories where the final act was shrouded in mystery, where the truth was carefully managed, and where new details are now emerging, painting a clearer, more poignant picture of the private struggles of public figures. We reflect on lives that, for all their brilliance, faced unimaginable challenges, reminding us that even the most celebrated among us are, at their core, only human. We begin with a story that, at first glance, seemed to follow a familiar, tragic pattern, the public persona cracking under unseen strain. When we first set out to explore the medical secrets surrounding Eric Dane, the whispers spoke of a life tragically cut short. But our investigation revealed a truth far more complex, and in many ways, even more harrowing. Eric Dane is very much alive. Yet for a time he endured a metaphorical death, a professional and spiritual vanishing from which he had to fight tooth and nail to return. You know, it's hard to reconcile the image of the man who burst onto our screens as Dr. Mark Sloan, Dr. McSteamy on Grey's Anatomy. He was the embodiment of swagger, confidence, and undeniable physical perfection. Later, as Captain Tom Chandler in The Last Ship, he was the unflappable hero, saving humanity from a global pandemic. These were roles that demanded an almost mythical invincibility, a strength that seemed boundless. But the very archetype that made him a star became a gilded cage. Insiders and a timeline of his own public statements reveal a dual-pronged assault on his well-being. The first blow, an addiction to prescription painkillers, a quiet dependency that began after a severe sports injury. He battled this while maintaining his top-tier television career, a secret burden carried beneath the surface. Then came the second, more critical blow, a crippling paralytic depression. By 2017, the weight became too immense to bear. Dane himself confirmed he had to halt production on his hit show, The Last Ship, stating, and I quote, "I was dealing with depression. I asked for a couple of weeks of time off, and the producers were very gracious. It was a very scary thing." Think about that for a second. The man paid to be the ultimate hero on screen had to publicly step away from the role because, in his own words, he needed to be saved. The profound irony here is almost unbearable. He portrayed two iconic saviors, a plastic surgeon who could physically mend the broken, and a naval officer who saved the entire world. Yet, while portraying these paragons of resilience and control, the man himself was privately fighting a losing battle against his own body and mind. It was a complete system failure, hidden behind the image of an iron-willed protector. The secret wasn't that it happened. It's how perilously close to the brink it brought him, and the immense courage it took to step back from the spotlight and reclaim his life. This was a death of spirit, a profound personal struggle, and a powerful reminder that even our heroes need saving. From the metaphorical challenges of Eric Dane, we turn to a story of a silent, physical battle. One waged with a dignity and resolve that still leaves us breathless. Chadwick Boseman became a titan on screen, a beacon of strength and grace, embodying figures like Jackie Robinson, James Brown, and of course, the iconic King T'Challa, the Black Panther. His performances were not just memorable. They were transformative, imbuing a generation with a sense of pride and power. He was a hero, both on film and in the hearts of millions. Yet, as he was bringing these powerful characters to life, Chadwick was fighting a war few knew about. In 2016, he received a diagnosis that would change everything. Colon cancer, a cruel and relentless adversary. What makes his story so incredibly poignant is the veil of secrecy he maintained. He kept his struggle almost entirely private, even from studio executives and many of his closest co-stars. While the world watched him grow thinner, speculating about his diet for roles, he was enduring multiple surgeries and grueling rounds of chemotherapy. He worked through immense pain, channeling every ounce of his being into his craft, delivering those iconic performances that moved us all. The tragic link here isn't a direct connection to another actor, but a profound parallel in the chasm between public persona and private reality. While Hollywood buzzed with theories about his physical transformations, Chadwick was quietly, courageously fighting for his life. The secret wasn't a grand conspiracy. It was the quiet, solitary war of a man determined to fulfill his purpose even as his own time was running out. The ultimate, crushing irony, of course, is that Chadwick Boseman portrayed King T'Challa, Black Panther, a hero made invincible by a heart-shaped herb and a vibranium suit, a symbol of enduring strength for a generation. He gave the world an icon of immortal power while he himself was facing his own mortality every single day. He became the strong ancestor figure in Da Five Bloods, while his own life force was privately, tragically, fading. He chose to protect his work and his ability to inspire, even if it meant bearing his immense burden alone. It's a testament to his incredible spirit, but also a heartbreaking reminder of the silent battles many wage, hidden beneath the surface of their public lives. From the quiet strength of Chadwick Boseman, we turn to another beloved figure whose departure left a profound ache in the hearts of a generation. Luke Perry. The name alone conjures images of a leather jacket, a brooding stare, and a charm that was simply irresistible. For many of us, he was Dylan McKay, the quintessential bad boy with a heart of gold from Beverly Hills 90210. I'm sure many of you remember gathering around the living room television, perhaps with a bowl of popcorn, to watch the drama unfold in that iconic zip code. He was a symbol of youth, rebellion, and a certain kind of cool that defined an era. As he matured, Luke transitioned beautifully, becoming a respected character actor, a stable professional presence on set, and a kind-hearted father figure to many. Yet behind that enduring charm and professionalism, a hidden vulnerability lay in wait. The immense pressure of being a teen idol and then navigating a long, demanding career in Hollywood manifests in different, devastating ways for different people. For Luke, it was a ticking clock. A silent, progressive physical threat that would eventually betray him. On February 27th, 2019, the unthinkable happened. He suffered a catastrophic ischemic stroke. Insiders reveal that despite being rushed to Providence St. Joseph Medical Center, one of the best facilities in Burbank, the damage was immediate and irreversible. It wasn't a slow decline, it was a sudden biological event, a complete neurological shutdown that silenced one of the generation's most beloved figures in an instant. The cruelest irony is that Luke Perry, the man, was celebrated for being everything his iconic character, Dylan McKay, was not. Perry was the stable, professional, kind-hearted individual on set. He was the rock, the anchor. Yet while the fictional Dylan survived addiction, loss, and endless turmoil, Luke, the real, grounded man who seemed to have navigated the perils of fame so perfectly, was ultimately taken by a silent medical betrayal. The character known for chaos endured, while the man known for his stability was gone in a flash. It's hard to accept when a talent like that is taken by a simple, sudden medical catastrophe, isn't it? It reminds us that even those who seem to have it all together are still vulnerable to the unpredictable nature of life itself. From the heartthrob who defined a generation, we pivot to a force of nature who commanded the screen with an intensity few could match, Ray Liotta. For decades, he brought a searing, unforgettable presence to every role, none more iconic than Henry Hill in Goodfellas. He was the kind of actor who burrowed into your memory, his gaze both captivating and unnerving, his voice a gravelly whisper that could turn into a shout in an instant. He played men who lived on a razor's edge, characters who you always expected to meet a dramatic, cinematic end. A hail of bullets, a fiery explosion. He was the epitome of the Hollywood tough guy, a true legend. But the headlines that announced his passing on May 26, 2022, simply read, "Died in his sleep," suggesting a peaceful, almost gentle exit. The reality, as our investigation reveals, is far more clinical and chilling. The secret isn't a hidden addiction or foul play, it's the quiet traitor that stalks so many, atherosclerosis. For years, Ray Liotta's arteries were hardening, a silent, progressive disease that advanced unnoticed, or perhaps unheeded. This culminated in a catastrophic failure, acute heart failure, and severe pulmonary edema. His lungs filled with fluid. He didn't just go to sleep. He was overtaken by a medical cascade event, a final, internal battle he was losing long before that night in the Dominican Republic. The chatter linking Ray Liotta's final hours to actor Eric Dane is a phantom, a piece of internet misinformation, born from the confusion surrounding a star's sudden death on a remote film set. The true tragic link isn't to another actor, but to the relentless demands of his craft. Liotta was on a powerful comeback, deep into a physically and emotionally demanding role in the film Dangerous Waters. He was working, fighting to stay in the game, pushing his body to the limit on location, far from his family and his regular doctors. He died in the service of his own myth, a good fella to the very end, and that dedication may have been the final stressor his compromised heart could not withstand. The ultimate, cruel irony for Ray Liotta is this. An actor who built a legendary career playing volatile men who you always expected to die dramatically was not felled by a cinematic villain. He was taken down in the quiet of the night, not by the mob, but by a mundane, tragically common medical condition. The man who seemed tougher than life itself was defeated by the same silent killer that claims millions of ordinary people. And finally, we arrive at a story that, even now, months later, still feels profoundly raw. A story of a beloved comedian whose lifelong battle with personal demons ultimately ended in tragedy. Matthew Perry, our Chandler Bing from Friends, was more than just a funny man. He was a master of wit, a source of comfort, and for many a representation of the lovable, sometimes insecure friend we all knew. For 10 seasons, he brought laughter and warmth into millions of homes. We watched him grow, stumble, and find his way, and in his vulnerability, many of us saw a reflection of our own struggles. Matthew's battle with addiction and depression was not a secret in his later years. He bravely chronicled it in his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. He dedicated his final act to becoming a beacon of hope for others, sharing his pain with an honesty that was both shocking and inspiring. His final public chapter was meant to be one of redemption, of using his experience to light the way for others trapped in similar shadows. He was, in his own words, trying to beat the big terrible thing. Then, on October 28th, 2023, the world stopped. The official cause of his passing was attributed to the acute effects of ketamine, but the full medical examiner's report unlocked a more chilling truth. The fatal dose was not from his therapeutic infusions. His last known session was over a week prior. This means Matthew, alone in his final hours, took a new, potent dose from an unknown source. It was a lethal cocktail, compounded by drowning, coronary artery disease, and the effects of buprenorphine, a medication used to treat opioid dependency. He was caught in a perfect storm of his own making, a tragic confluence of circumstances that led to his final, heartbreaking moments. The veil is lifted on the final, frantic scene not by a stranger, but by the man who lived next door, actor Eric Dane. In what can only be described as a gut-wrenching Hollywood parallel, Dane, an actor who has publicly fought his own battles with depression and prescription drug dependency after an injury, was one of the first to witness the tragic aftermath. He was right there, separated by a hedge, a contemporary who understood the pressure and the pain. The ultimate devastating irony is that Matthew Perry dedicated his final act to becoming a beacon of hope. Writing a memoir so raw, it was intended as a lifeline for others. The medical secret now unearthed is that he died from ketamine, a substance he was embracing as a revolutionary, medically sanctioned treatment to finally conquer his lifelong depression. The very tool he believed was his salvation became the instrument of his final, fatal relapse, proving that even for Hollywood's most beloved survivors, the big terrible thing is always waiting for one last curtain call. Please share in the comments which of his roles touched your heart the most, because as long as we remember him, he is never truly gone. These stories, though distinct in their details, share a common, heartbreaking thread. They remind us that the glittering facade of Hollywood often conceals profound human struggles, battles with illness, with dependency, with the crushing weight of expectation. They were stars, yes, but they were also sons, brothers, fathers, and friends, facing challenges that, in many ways, are universal. Their lives and their departures offer a poignant lesson, that behind every public image lies a complex individual, deserving of compassion and understanding. We may never fully comprehend the pressures they endured, but we can honor their memory by remembering their art, their humanity, and the indelible mark they left on our lives. Take care of yourselves and hold your loved ones close. Memory is the only thing that truly lasts forever.